All right, well, it's 24 hours. Well, not really. It's like 18 hours since we finished up gluing stuff to the floor. So we're gonna go check on that, and then I think we're gonna get this seat done and out of the way, because then we're gonna start working on bunks. And I think before I start working on some of the bunk stuff, I need to do some great stuff. I'm always doing great stuff. We're gonna do great stuff foam insulation as the vapor barrier underneath and along the bus down here, so that it keeps the foam that we're putting in there nice and not rotting away. And that's going to be super awesome. So I need to get that stuff done so that we can put the wall in, and as soon as we get the wall in, then we can start working on the bunks one step at a time. So the moment of truth, did this stuff stay down? Yes, it did. That looks pretty good. Not half bad. Bubbling a little bit, but I think that's gonna work out perfectly fine. It's gonna stay down there, and again, a mattress is gonna be on top. So as long as it stays there, we're all good. All right, since we're good there, I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling the passenger seat out so we can put the swivel on it and get that all primed and good. And then after that's done, we'll start probably doing great stuff along the outside edge in the back here. Cut the foam, slide that in place, and then we're gonna grab some boards and start. We're gonna put one on this side for the wall, one on this side for the wall, and at least get those kind of buttoned up and against the wall. And once they do, then we'll measure the tops, and then we'll have a little sliver down there, and we'll do the back. And then honestly, this entire backside will be walled in, which will be super awesome, because once that's done, the bunks are the next things to be built in, and pretty much that's gonna, you know, take us through to, I need to get the backside done first. So at the front side, where these benches are and everything, I need to figure out and configure. I think the goal is to still have like a mini fridge here, but the air conditioning unit, I'm still trying to decide whether or not it's going to be housed up there in that front corner, which means this whole bench or whatever is going to be cold because the fan blows this direction, or if I'm going to have enough room over here, or I might possibly be able to stick it in there, but the vent is on the back, and I want it to be able to vent out and down. So there's not a hole in the side of the bus, and I really don't want to put a massive hole in the floor. So we might have to cut a little bit of an slit opening to get it out and exhausted away from the body itself, or from inside. But lots to do. We're just going to start hitting up and do the chair, because I know how to do that. I already did the first one, and we'll get that done. Well, as you can see, chair's done. Works fantastically well. One super huge positive thing about this specific one is because there's no steering wheel on this side, this one can actually recline a little bit more. Granted, it doesn't go super far back, but this isn't going to be the main sleeping area. This is literally just going to be where everybody can sit and chill and actually be able to talk. So now, instead of just having two bench seats, we've actually got two bench seats and two captain's chairs. So it's gonna be really easy to be able to just kind of sit and chill and hang out. And even when Ethan and I have been out already, using this guy for the 2 shows. It was really nice to be able to just kind of sit and chat and hang out. So this will be a super nice space to be able to hang out with people while we're out on the road, chilling before we go to sleep, all that good stuff. So super excited. These turned out really, really nice and really well. So I'm excited to see kind of how the rest of it goes. The other cool thing that happened kind of unbeknownst to me, or didn't really plan on it, but if you put this seat all the way up, which isn't comfortable necessarily to sit in, it's a whole lot easier with this seat pulled all the way forward to be able to just walk in and around this seat to be able to get in and out. So it makes me think that this specific project, as far as the door, it's sealed up right now, it's closed. You know, we can open it by undoing the straps and stuff, but it doesn't really make me think that I need to dive super deep necessarily into that project. That might be one that kind of keeps getting pushed and pushed, because even when Ethan and I have been in this thing, we've been going out the front doors and then the back door to be able to get in and out, because quite frankly, without the pneumatic stuff all working on this anyway, the only way to be able to open and close this door is from inside. So it seems rather silly to open it all the way up to get in and out, to be able to close it and then have to go out either the front doors or the back door anyway. So not that big a deal. I actually kind of like the fact that if it makes it a whole lot easier to get in and out of here, we've been loading stuff in and out the back as far as being able to get luggage and stuff in. It would be nice if there was a real quick, easy way to get this door to be able to swing open, be able to load our stuff in, swing it closed, and know that was latched and all good, because then it'd be easier to get bags and stuff in here as opposed to coming through all the way through the back. But we'll see once the bunks get in, depending on how much storage space is left back there. It could be that we end up not really putting a whole lot of storage underneath it here other than just snacks and backpacks and stuff. And if that's the case, you know, throwing a backpack in over your back as you're walking in here, whether it's through the back door or the front, really isn't that big a deal. So I'm gonna sit here and drink my sparkling fitness water, relax a little bit, and think about the next project I gotta be working on. Alright, so now it looks like probably what we're going to do is clean up a little bit. If I'm going to be spraying foam all along here, across this wall, and all the way across this wall, down at the bottom and the back, to try to get everything, you know, sealed from the bottom, which it hasn't been sealed since well, even before I started turning this thing was not sealed at all. I just want everybody to remember, when I started this thing, you could literally see daylight through holes in the floor. And especially right back here, that whole section just had carpet that was literally screwed back down to boards that they had screwed up from the floor. So if you jumped hard enough, you would end up on the concrete. Anyway, that being said, we're going to seal this bad boy up. So I'm going to go through and take some of the wires that are here. We're going to go get the clamps, screw those in to get those set and up and out of the way. I got a wire over here down on the floor, but I think what I'm going to do is we're going to take the mattresses possibly inside to get them out of here so they don't stink from putting the spray and foam stuff in here. Possibly stack those two in the middle, so then I got clear access on either side, and then get some of this other stuff like the ramp and the ladder and stuff that don't need to be in here out of here. So time for a little bit of cleanup so we can start with the next thing. So here's where I need to do some figuring. What I want to do, or the goal I should say, is to get a thin layer of that foam to sit right on that edge. The problem is, some places, like towards the back, there's actually metal that's there, that's still existing from the old skeleton of the bus. So I'm not worried about that. I can put that on there, it'll expand, it'll be fine. The problem is where I have sections that have nothing underneath of them. Now the directions say if I want it to cure faster, what I can do is I can spray water on either surface and it's supposed to cure faster. My hope would be that I could spray it onto the outside and have it expand in, or like stick to the actual wall. So this might turn out to be really messy. It may turn out that it doesn't work at all. But we're gonna see what we can do and try to get it to where basically we don't make a huge mess underneath. Quite honestly, like some of the sections I'm not really worried about. Like this whole side, not worried about whatsoever at all. The other side, however, has the fans and the condenser unit for the AC up top here, underneath of it. So you get towards the back, and then the back I don't really care about, but it's mostly those fans in that AC unit. So we're gonna go slow. We're gonna try to be methodical. I'm gonna try to do things that I don't regret later, but no promises. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start in the back where I already know, like, I kind of can get things the way I want it. So we'll start back at that corner, probably do both of them, both sides, and then move our way up and see what happens. Well, so here's what we've learned so far. The stuff where there's plenty of things underneath did totally fine. I got the pink stuff all the way across here, and then went and I actually had some gray stuff that was window and door, and put it down on this side. I need to go get more from the store. But in order to get it to stick while it's expanding, you basically have to spray it against the outside panel, and to try to get it to stick there and then have it expand back into the floor, because there's not really anything to grab onto. So I might have to try to figure out a way to be creative. I thought about even just putting like a strip of duct tape across and underneath just to kind of hold it in while it expands. The hard part is there's not really a way to do it down here because I don't have access from underneath to get to that spot. So that might be a little interesting to see how that all works out. But the good part is at least I've gotten a decent amount of kind of this back area done. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab one of the first boards that we got to cut, figure out where it needs to go, what angles I need to cut in order to get it in here, and then possibly try to get that in, because I'm going to let the foam expand and kind of dry, and then I need to put the insulation in the spots that aren't filled up with foam. So that's really just kind of here and then down across there. So not too many pieces to cut, but want to make sure that we get that all buttoned up and in there. So we'll see. I mean, worst case scenario, it doesn't work. I know, like, for a fact there's a huge puddle of that pink stuff down below there because it took me a little bit trying to figure out how to get it to stick. But by the time I got to the great stuff over here, both that section there and here is pretty much all just empty space underneath. So hopefully that stuff will start drying, expand out big enough to be able to do there. What I may end up doing is just trying to get it to expand a little bit and then go back through with more and put it more underneath, and hopefully it'll adhere to the stuff, the foam that's already there. So I think the next thing I need to do is try to figure out how I'm going to do the board in here and get it set up in here, and once we get that cut and kind of up, you can screw it to the wall, and that will, well, gotta cut the foam, but at least I gotta get the board cut so I know where we're doing things and go from there. All right, so we got 2 cans down, and honestly, like, it's holding up pretty good. I'm gonna let this expand a little bit more. It was coming out so fast that it actually filled up the gap really well. So I might have to do a little bit right there. But what made me super excited was that meant the other side wasn't gonna be a total pain in the butt. So I literally just coated it and it worked out really well. So the only other thing I gotta do is back here in the dark. I've got one more hole back here at this edge, so I gotta do that, and then underneath it here. And actually I think I'm gonna pull these back and do underneath that, and then I've got to do underneath that one as well. And then the entire underside except for the front 2 corners, and then literally where the steps are, because we still got to work on that. It's all going to be completely sealed up. And the crazy part is with this Max Air fan, I was kind of disappointed when I first put it in, because like, man, like, it just feels like it's not working for some reason. Well, it's not that it wasn't working, it was working fantastically well. The problem was there were so many holes to pull air from. I was just pulling it from everywhere, and it was pulling stuff up. Well, the crazy part is now you can actually feel a draft coming through this specific spot, because it's one of the few places that's open right now. So I'm super excited for how well that's gonna do once we get the rest of this all sealed up. So we've got to do this corner. That corner's almost done, just underneath of it a little bit. And then wait for that to dry, expand out a little bit. And then I got some non-warping window stuff, and my hope was that I could come through here and do all the windows. Although thinking about it now, they only had 2 cans of that stuff, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get all the windows done, which I don't really have to get the windows done right now, but I wanted to make sure that I got them done before I put the walls up, and the walls are coming pretty soon. So it's coming along. So finish this up, and then I got to go through. You can see like right here where it bubbled out. I'm going to cut that back with a knife so we can put the panel right up against it. So. Well, both sides got some. I ran out on this side doing kind of the tops over here. This side definitely looks a lot better. This side looks like I was learning, which I was. This whole thing's a learning project. So I gotta go get some more of that stuff eventually and finish off the tops of those, and it actually worked out pretty well. So what I learned on this side was I was using way too much foam because it expands out still. So I need to, once this all dries, I'll come back with a knife and cut it just like I did on the bottom. But it's getting sealed. This is great. I am super excited. So again, crazy part is being able to come and put your hand down in the air gap and actually feel like a pretty decent breeze coming through. So we'll get all those sealed up. This will all have the black insulation in there, but once I figure out like all these cables and wires and stuff, that's from the door, all the pneumatic stuff from that I cut out. So once I figure out where everything's going there and ripping that stuff out, I'll probably seal up down there, but I might be running some more cables and stuff down through there to be able to pass power from one side to the other. So I'm not gonna seal that stuff up yet. Coming along, looking good. We'll keep on rocking. Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoy the content, would love to hear from you. If there's anything you think I should do on the bus that I haven't done yet, let me know that too. And if you want a keychain, you know, there'll be a link in the description below where you can get those to be able to help fund more renovations on the bus and get this thing out on the road. So thanks so much. We'll see you guys soon.